예, 그 파트 2 챕터 6에 대한 혹은 그 앞에 거하고 같이 연결이 된 그런 서머리 앤 어널리시스를 한번 잠깐 진행을 하겠습니다. 오케이, 그 챕터 6에 대한 서머리 스파크 노트에 나와 있는 것부터 먼저 해볼게요. O'Brien makes contact with Winston. He has been waiting for this moment all his life. During his brief meeting with O'Brien in the hallway at the Ministry of Truth, Winston is anxious and excited. O'Brien alludes to Sime. 슬쩍 얘기를 하는 거죠. And tells Winston that he can see a newspeak dictionary if he will come to O'Brien's house one evening. Winston fears that his meeting with O'Brien continues a path in his life that began the day of his first rebellious thought. 그죠? 생각에서 words, writing으로 그리고 action으로 넘어간다 그랬죠. He thinks gloomily that this path will lead to the mystery of love, where he expects to be killed. 중간 걸로 홀딱 빼먹고 그냥 곧바로 가버리네. Though he accepts his fate, he is thrilled to have O'Brien's address. 어찌됐든 갈 때까지 가보자 이거죠. Analysis가 갑자기 툭 튀어나오네요. 사과에서부터 육화까지를 한꺼번에 정리를 해놨네. 오케이, 잠깐 봅시다. These three chapters represent a transitional period during which Winston's affair with Julia becomes an established part of their lives and leading up to Winston's meeting with O'Brien. 그죠? 여기서 이제 앞에 그 정말 우리가 처음에 볼 때는 당황스러운 디스토피아의 그 하루하루들을 그려내다가 갑자기 분위기가 줄리아 그리고 그 다음에 또 오브라이언. 그러니까 윈스턴만의 세계에 있다가 점점 그 자기 같은 부서에서 일하는 사람들, 같은 이웃, 그리고 그 다음엔 줄리아와의 만남, 그 다음엔 오브라이언의 만남. 그러면서 점점 이제 시야가 넓어지는 거죠. 사람들을 만나면서 무대가 좀 넓어지는 거죠. Despite the risk, Winston rents the room above Mr. Charrington's shop so that he and Julia can have a regular place to meet. As the preparations for Hate Week cast a shadow of heat and fatigue on Winston's life, a number of important minor details surface throughout this section. 모습을 드러낸다라는 동사를 쓴 겁니다. Each of which has some bearing on later developments in the novel. 의미를 갖고 있는 나중에 어떻게 분위기상 뭐 비극적으로 끝날 것 같긴 한데 어떻게 될지는 저도 궁금해요. The first to surface is a return of the glass paperweight. 왜? 이게 왜? A vision of the glass paperweight inspired Winston to rent the room above the shop. 그렇죠? 그 마치 glass paperweight의 그 세 개가 자기들이 그 미스터 체링턴의 그 샵 위에 만들어 놓은 그 방 그 세 개하고 좀 비슷비슷하죠, 분위기가. The recurrence of this symbol emphasizes Winston's obsession with the past and connects it to his desire to rent the room. 이렇게 볼 수도 있죠. By making the room available for himself and Julia, he hopes he can make their relationship resemble one from an earlier, freer time. 이 안에서만이라도 그렇게 할 수 있죠. After Julia leaves the room, Winston gazed into the paperweight, imagining a world outside of time inside it. where he and Julia could float free from the party. The second detail, 첫 번째가 paperweight, 두 번째는 involves the poor woman singing outside the window. 이게 왜? Winston has already thought and written in his diary that any hope for the future must come from the pros. The virile poor woman singing outside the window becomes a symbol of the hope for future. To Winston, he imagines her bearing the children who will one day overthrow the party. 동의하세요? 이거 아닌 것 같은데? 예, 이거 오버다. 이건 좀 오버다. The third factor is Winston's fear of rats. 그자. 아, 맞다. 이건 나도 동의. 도대체 이게 뭔 의미일까? When he sees a rat in the room in chapter 4, he shudders in terror. His worst nightmare involves rats in a vague, mysterious way he cannot quite explain. This is another foreshadow. 이게 뭘까? 궁금하다. When O'Brien told... 나중에 그러나 보다. 약간 이거 스폰데. Tortures Winston in the Ministry of Love at the end of the novel. He'll use a cage of rats to break Winston's spirit. The fact that Winston's fear of rats comes from a nightmare that he cannot explain is another important instance of the motif of dreams. Once again, Winston's dream represents an incomprehensible link to a past that is beyond his memory. rat도 참 장치를 잘해놓은 것 같기도 하고. The first detail, 네 번째도 있어, is the recurrence of the St. Clement's Church song. 그죠? 이것도 왜 자꾸 이렇게 반복할까? The mysterious reference to the song continues to pique Winston's interest in the past. And its last line, there comes the chopper to chop off your head, continues to obliquely foreshadow his unhappy ending. 해피엔딩일 거라고 아무도 생각 안 하죠. A more pragmatic interest makes the song relevant in this section. 어떤 거? 어떤 pragmatic interest가 있을까? Julia first cleaned the St. Clement's Church picture in chapter 4. And had she done so, the lovers would have discovered the talisman hidden behind it. 계속 스포를 하네. The most important part of this section is Winston's meeting with O'Brien, which Winston considers to be the most important event of his life. The meeting is brief, but it establishes O'Brien as an enigmatic and powerful figure. 알 수 없는, 하지만 강력한. At this point, we cannot tell whether he is trustworthy or treacherous. 찜찜하긴 하죠. 너무 근거가 없으니까. 도대체 왜 이 사람한테 이렇게 아무 의심 없이 다가가는지. Whether he truly on Winston's side or simply wants to trap him for the party. In the end, Winston will discover the answer to that question in the place where there is no darkness. 여전히 쓸데없이 스포하고 문제가 좀 있죠. 오케이, 클리프 노트도 있네. 이렇게 봅시다. 클리프 노트 서머리 어떻게 했나? 챕터 5하고 6가 워낙 짧으니까 한꺼번에 해놨네요. Winston Smith is back at work and Simey, the newspeak expert, has vanished. Preparations for Hate Week are going on all over London. Winston and Julia still meet in Mr. Charrington's room over the junk shop. Both are now aware that what they have together cannot last long. They talk of the war, which Julia believes is not truly happening, and they talk of people being vaporized. 그죠. 사라지는 사람들. They daydream about being married and about engaging in active rebellion about the party. Winston tries to make Julia understand that history is constantly being altered, but Julia does not see the significance in that fact. 글쎄요, 그렇게 중요한가? 저도 줄리아하고 비슷한데. She is not interested in the past or the next generation of people. She is only interested in a relationship with Winston. Back at work, O'Brien, 여기까지가 이제 5과였고, 그리고 이제 6과 서머리를 하네요. Back at work, O'Brien, an inner party member, approaches Winston and compliments him on his articles in the Times. O'Brien speaks to Winston about Sammy, who is now an unperson and not to be discussed. Winston takes this conversation as a sign that O'Brien is on his side. 이렇게 생각할 수 있죠. 6과 정도 오면 오브라이언에 대한 알 수 없는 믿음 이런 게 조금 근거가 있는 것 같다는 느낌은 있죠. O'Brien offers to lend Winston a copy of the latest edition of the Newspeak Dictionary and gives Winston his address. Winston believes that this is the moment he has been waiting for, but he also realized that by taking this step, he is destined for an early grave. 이건 뭐 그렇고요. Analysis를 봅시다. Chapter 5 serves as a transition in time and as a way to fill the reader on the details of the month that Orwell has skipped. 그런가? This chapter also highlights the differences between Winston and Julia. Even though Winston now has an ally in Julia, he is still essentially alone in the thinking. 과거가 그렇게 중요하다 라는 생각은 거의 뭐 윈스턴만 하고 있는 생각이죠, 지금은. This chapter also serves to introduce the fact that Sammy has been vaporized, enabling O'Brien to reference him in the next chapter and thus key Winston in to O'Brien's possible unorthodoxy. Key in, 껴들어가다 뭐 그런 뜻인가요? 알게 되다? Sammy's disappearance also serves as the basis of the relationship between Winston and O'Brien. Note that Winston predicted Sammy's disappearance early in the novel. 그죠? 쟤는 언젠가 vaporize 될 거야. 그렇게 생각했었잖아요. Furthermore, this meeting between Winston and O'Brien had been foreshadowed in chapter 1. 그죠? 이상하게 서로 눈빛이 통했죠. When Winston relates the eye contact made between him and O'Brien. Winston interprets O'Brien's offer of the dictionary as an obvious ruse. ruse가 뭐예요? 그 어떤 cover up 이런 거? ruse. 룰 있더니 그죠? artifice. 겉으로만 이렇게 덮는 거. He truly believes that his assumption about O'Brien's faithlessness to the party is correct. Winston realized at this moment that he will follow through with O'Brien's summons. This decision is the turning point or climax in the story. 그런가? 쫓아갈 거야 라고 했던 게 터닝 포인트인가? 이게 클라이맥스인가? All the events thus far in the novel have led to this moment. When Winston makes this irrevocable decision, 돌이킬 수 없는 결정, he is at his greatest personal development. Although he could choose to turn away from destiny, he chooses instead to embrace it. 글쎄, 이건 뭐 당연한 결정 아니었나요? 지금까지 그 상황으로 보면? From this point forward, fate takes over, and Winston is powerless to stop what comes to pass. 야, 그 다음부터 이제 소위 말하는 계속해서 여기서 나왔던 grave로 한 발 한 발, 무덤으로 한 발 한 발 이제 들어가나 보네. 너무 끔찍하지 않았으면 좋겠다. 오케이. 다음 과에서 봅시다. 빠이빠이.